Alright, I'm getting to work on the cage prep. First thing I'm going to do is work on these the rails for the seat, for the different, so you can slide your seat and have different positions. Obviously these would be difficult. I'm at the bottom of the fuselage, looking up here. So this would be difficult, obviously, if there was a skin here. So we're going to go ahead and get these rails in position. For the plans, I've got some marks that are 2 and 7/8 inches from the center of this hole. I'm going to go ahead and drill this one, cleco it, drill that one, and then I'm going to position the other ones and clamp them in place. And I'm going to use a straight rod to make sure everything is 90 degrees and in alignment. Alright, I got the seat rails clecoed in position. I went ahead and there's a Rivnut that goes into the hole. We got to open the holes up to a 1/4 inch and then put the Rivnut in and squeeze that down. Just got to do that on the rest of the holes. I've got a nutsert tool that works all right with Rivnuts, but it's just barely long enough, which makes it real hard to squeeze. So I use the Rans method in the book with just using I got an Allen screw here. It seemed to work pretty good, so we're going to try that again. Take your screw, thread the Rivnut on so it's all the way through. Then hand tighten this back down. Got a little mark, and we're going to do 3 turns. So you put it in the hole. Using an Allen wrench here to hold the screw in place. Thread the nut 3 turns. There's one. Three turns. Backing off half. And we'll come out back in. Yeah, so it's just a socket head screw, a thin washer, 1032 nut. Has your Rivnut on. Leave some exposed threads so we know we're getting all the threads in the Rivnut. Got my mark at the top. We're going to go 3 threads. I got my stops for the seats. I had a neighbor who has a lathe, just we cut it down as lathe to 1/2 inch lengths. And you also have to remount the center to be able to take the 3/16 bolt. I'm test fitting this now. The final assembly will get some Loctite on it. Don't want to over tighten those with the Rivnuts, because Rivnuts are known to work loose. And I got to do these 2 outboard ones. The top one's going to be a little difficult because of tubing in the way. We'll see how it goes. Alright, those will get snugged up and Loctited here in a sec. Just checking everything looks still pretty square. The Firewall comes in 3 pieces. And each outboard piece has a little tang that goes behind the centerpiece. And we get rivet with the brass washer on it, a stainless steel rivet with the brass washer. So I've got to click it together, and now I'm putting on the stainless rivets, the brass washer. Just kind of hold the brass washer and place from behind. Throw some rivet. I'm running into a problem where some of my brass washers are not quite sliding onto the rivet, so I'm having to ream them out slightly. It's just ever so slightly, but just a little bit to make it slide on there. Then some fit fine. Don't know why. All right, we've got our thirds riveted together to make the firewall, and the backside has the brass washers. Like I mentioned earlier, the outboard parts, they overlap behind the center part. Now I'm working on the floorboard that goes under your feet in the cockpit here. I made some little reliefs for weld in some areas on the frame. The text manual mentioned that it may not interfere because you put foam tape on the tubing and everything, but anyhow, I just took my angle grinder here with a sanding disc on it and did that. Now I've got the floorboard centered up and clamped down, and I'm ready to take my number 11 drill and start drilling holes where the nut plates will go. All right, I've taken the floorboard out and deburred it, and now I'm putting in the nut plates that will be used to hold that in place later. These nut plates here are the easy ones because all the holes are pre-drilled. The ones that go forward, we're going to have to drill ourselves. Alright, so I've got a 1032 screw here and some washers. And I'm going to use that to position this nut plate. It goes in the outer hole with these holes for the rivets on the inside, according to the manual, the diagram in the parts manual. Now that'll hold that in place while I drill it. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that. I could probably get a rivet in here just to hold it in position. Deburr that. I gotta do that 3 more times. So now that the nut plates are in, I've got some tape, some foam tape that I got from the master car. It's 1/2 inch wide, 1/4 inch thick. I got the kind that says it's foam weather stripping. You don't want to use mounting tape because it has adhesive on both sides. The weather stripping just has it on the one side. This kind is some sort of unit-in foam mix that is supposed to be, it's closed cell and it's supposed to resist fuel and oil. So I thought that might be wise. See how it works. Anyhow, I'm going to put that on all these tubes and tabs that'll contact the floorboard, and that should dampen any noise. Here's my technique. It seems to work all right. Up from the bottom with my owl. A little punch. Kind of center it on the hole. About looking crazy. Then this is my number 11 drill. Not going down to the metal, just kind of spinning it, and it grabs the foam. Seems to work all right. Probably overkill. I'm not sure what the second hole is for yet. Let's see. Move that one from the bottom because there's no nut plate. That makes for a fairly neat little cut hole. Sometimes there's still a little scrap of foam in there. Anyhow, you get the idea. Figured I'll show you these punches. See, they're hollow. And they're used for punching holes in like gasket material or rubber or leather. Come in a set. Again, it might be overkill, but I was like, well, how am I going to get the screws to come up through the tabs or go down through the tabs? I mean, but I believe I've got the foam everywhere the floorboard's going to touch, and the screw hole's opened up. So let's put it in there and see how it goes. Got the floorboard in. I put 2 screws in and cleat coat the front, 2 spots there. Doesn't rattle or anything. It's got a little give here in the middle. I think DJ Vay talked about it in his Outbound 300 site. He put a little piece of angle across there, which would stiffen that. I don't know if it's really necessary. You're not going to really be stepping in the middle too much. I don't know. I'll think about it. And the other thought is, we've got nut plates everywhere else. Why the 4 rivets across the front of it instead of screws? So could maybe put a nut plate on those. I don't know. I don't think a lot goes underneath this. There's not a lot of room underneath it. Just the thickness of the tubing. So I don't think anything's going to be routed underneath there. So it shouldn't really need to come out. But those are famous last words. Anyhow. I did have to take it out, or just be 4 rivets to drill out, so not that big of a deal, but 2 things to think about. Maybe nut plates, maybe a stifter across the middle. Not sure. But it fits good, and the foam's working well, and the holes line up, so that's good. Now I'm installing the seat rail plates. These are the plates, and they take 3 rivets to the tube structure here. I got each one marked. The end of the rail plate here is supposed to be even with the tubing for the seat belts. So I'll clamp it in position and drill my holes, and then I'll take it apart and deburr it, and then we're going to countersink it. All right, now I'm working on position of the firewall. I'm doing that because I want to do what's called the boot cowl, which goes from the firewall aft to the edge of the front door here and wraps around. I want to do that before it's all assembled because I can flip it over easily and everything. So I'm trying to position the firewall. It's got 2 holes in it for these bolts, and they're kind of slot holes. They're oblong, so you can slide it a little bit. And I'm doing that, but I'm still running into, I don't know if you can see, but these holes here are smaller and get drilled out for the bolts, but they are not even close to being on center for the hole is. So I'm trying to kind of slide it around and position it some to minimize that. I don't think it's super critical that these fit the bolt exactly. It's just going to be sandwiched in there, and then the boot cowl it'll all hold itself together. But I'd like to keep the holes from being too oblong and nasty. So I'm going to piddle with that some. I'll get back. All right, I've got it in place. I don't know if you can see, but I'm about half a hole out on some of these. These middle ones aren't as bad, but there's not a whole lot I can do. I want to keep it centered on the firewall. I mean, on the cage. So I can't scoot it a whole lot one way or the other. I did slide it a little bit. I've also got to pick up these tabs where the boot cowl skins go on, so I can't be too far. So I got the best compromise I could come up with. I think I'm gonna start by drilling those tab holes and clecoing in place in the center and working my way out, and then I'll do the bolt holes. And I think, since the firewall gets sandwiched between the engine mount and the fuselage, it's not that critical that hole perfectly match the bolt. You can see it's a little oblong, but that's not an awful hole. Like I said, and it's sandwiched, so I'm not super concerned about it. Floppier than I would like, but I think that's all you can do. Clecoed on, bolts are bolted on. These are just scrap bolts that I had. We're holding it for now. Time to take it off, deburr it, and then put the foam tape on all the tubes that are in contact with it. All right, I got my phone tape on. I got all the firewall bolts in place and cleat-coated the tabs. I don't know that it was necessary to put foam under the tabs, but it said where the firewall touches the cage, so I put it there. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap it up for now. The next thing is going to be working on the boot cowl, which is the skins that wrap around here from the door to the firewall, underneath and all the way around. And getting the firewall in place was necessary to start that. So we'll wrap it up for now. I'm heading to Oshkosh here in about 4 or 5 days. We're going to be there from Tuesday to Saturday, and looking forward to a good time. Maybe we'll meet some of you guys. And until then, come back for the next flying with Brian.